Hey guys, welcome back to the production session. Today we're going to discuss a classic mixing issue, and that is how to mix in a good way between a bass and a kick drum. Because we often have a situation in mixing bands that have a drummer and a bass player, or electronic music which has a kick drum and a bass part, that we have those two instruments in a kind of a collision. The reason is that those two instruments often share the same frequency range and the same dynamic range. And if they are playing at the same time together in a sort of a unison or similar parts, then we often have a problem in the mix because one of them is usually going to be either louder than the other, but more importantly, it's going to swallow the other in terms of frequency range. So we have to decide what we're doing with it. One option is to place kick and a bass in two different sides of the stereo. And I'm not very fond of this option. I mean, I think that in a normal mix, we usually place both of them quite tightly in the center. They are just traditionally mixed that way and for a good reason. Because they are just expected to be in the center as far as our ears are concerned, as what they are expecting. So location in the stereo field is not really a good option. So we are left with two things. One is the dynamic range, and the other is the frequency range. And especially the frequency range can be taken care of, and that's what we're going to do today. But let's hear first how it sounds together in a recent tune that I worked on, the Contusion by Stevie Wonder. This is just our drum set, electronic drum machine, and let's add the bass. So we can see and hear quite clearly that as soon as we add the bass, as soon as we added another instrument which overrides, so to speak, the kick, we stopped hearing the kick, at least not hearing it very well. We only hear a little fraction of the kick, which is, some kind of very vague, dark kind of hit every time it plays, and that's not what we want. We want to hear it clearly and have it adding more punch to the mix. So what we're going to do is going to damage, which is our contact instrument where we use the kick, and this is our kick, and we are going from the main to the EQ and filter and compression menu, and here we have a really cool compression called Punish. That's like a proprietary compression to that damage instrument by Heaviosity, and I really like to use it. I think it's adding a little bit of a color to the instrument. So let's hear just the kick by itself. And let's add the bass now. Yeah, so it's definitely true to say that we are not really hearing the kick very tightly or very clearly. So the first thing I would do is to raise the compression a little bit, Punish button. We already have the dynamic range sorted out pretty nicely. We hear it already. But we do need to take care of a little bit of EQ here. So let's open the EQ. And since I like the bass tone as it is, I'm not going to touch it very much, regarding EQ. So what I am going to do, I'm going to reduce the lows from the kick drum and compensate with some mid and high range, because low is around 100 hertz, mid range can put it around 7 to 750, and high can do it on a 2000, sorry. And I think the situation is completely different now. Yeah. Let's A/B that. I'm reducing both, I'm just disabling both compression and EQ. This is how it sounded before. Let's add it. I think now it's much clearer. Let's hear the whole set. Yeah, I think we have the kick pretty much in place. Maybe we can work it out even a little bit more, but it's definitely much better than what it was before we compressed and EQ'd a little bit. So yeah, that's one very common and popular way to go about the difference between a kick and a bass. Usually one of them has to step aside, so to speak, and let the other one take most of the range. So in my opinion, at least in this particular tune, a sharp kick is contributing, because the bass is active. The bass is doing a lot, at least in this part. So we can kind of have the kick as, I would say, a little bit of a punch to the lower frequencies. We just need, a sharp kick that is working out nicely with the fat low bass, and that's how they're combined together and sounding very nicely together without stepping on each other's toes. So that's what I wanted to show you today, and I'll see you at the next production session. Until then.